Marbula One. The race is where we get to see multiple comebacks, unexpected overtakes, questionable roster changes, multiple yellow flags, leads getting taken away at the end of a race, and the same 5 teams winning every single race. But the recaps don't write themselves, don't talk themselves, don't commentate themselves, and don't quote themselves, so I should start talking. Here's the first half. After getting unfairly bailed out in Season 5, the Blackjacks are ready to make some unforgettable revenge stories, and I'm excited to see what both Club and Heart can do. What? Diamond? Let me get this straight. Blackjacks, you subbed out a great racer in Season 4 because they had nothing but mid-pack finishes. I am outraged by this decision, and it has shown very well. Diamond only has 1 point from the first half while Club is carrying the team. And Greenstone, but we don't talk about that. We even got our first top 3 starting position. It only took 14 tries, and Club still couldn't win at Aquamarine. We even had the lead 3 times in the earlier portions of that race, and we could only place 4th. Our second time, we've come 1 position short of making a race podium. I really hope that Diamond puts things together in the second half, because if you don't, then I'll be mad and yell for Coach Jack to bring Hart back. Tough to really write a good segment for this team, because I don't really pay much attention to the Bumblebees. I mean, all things considered, it has been a pretty decent so far for this franchise. They immediately kicked this season into high gear with a bronze, which is their first Marbula One medal since the last race of Season 4. Since then, it has been either hit or miss for this team. Stinger had a pretty solid race at Sparkle Central, despite a scoreless race at the Savage Speedway. Meanwhile, Bumble is doing what Bumble does and has finishes of 6th at Greenstone, 5th at Aquamarine, and a bronze at Sakura Garden. So far, this has been the best season for the Bumblebees in Marbula One, and if you can keep this up, I will look up to you more, but until that happens, don't really expect anything remotely noticeable from the Bumblebees. I mean, with these felines, what do you expect? 4 medals for the Cat's Eyes after 5 races, and they are leading by a mind-boggling 34 points. 3 wins and a 2nd place. But do you know what I find quite funny? Is the fans complaining because of Yellow Eye having 1 bad race at Sparkle Central. I don't really think they would be complaining now because that was 1 bad race. And I don't understand why people think they should launch an investigation about the incident between Yellow Eye and Clementon. Aside from that, this has been a fantastic first half from the felines. I won't be surprised if Red Eye wins the individual championship at the end of the season, as this would mark their 4th individual title. Or the felines may just choke the lead and fall to 2nd by the end of the season. Your call. So, what did the Ducks learn after blowing the entire podium in Season 5 and in Marble League 2024? If you said they've pretty much learnt nothing over the last year, you're correct, because they clearly haven't learnt anything throughout the entirety of 2025. What's more, is that the Green Ducks have been stuck in mid-pack purgatory the entire season so far, and you've somehow only fallen 1 spot overall with 28 points. And only 1 double-digit point performance. If the bottom teams were actually doing things like in Season 3, the Ducks would be in 17th or worse. What triggers me the most is that you are one of 6 teams that have scored in every single Grand Prix up to this point, and you're still blowing it. Adorable. I could write Mallard's bad performance at their home track, but oh, Billy, this is not a good look on you, pal. The best amount of advice I can give you is don't drown in the water, get back on track, and get another gold medal this season. Because if you don't, I suspect it's going to result in a lot of
sad quacks.
Hazes country. Let's ride. To the people who hated me for roasting the Hazes in my ML24 recap and saying it was just the same lines as Mad Men's M1 Season 3 first half recap segment, 1, you're completely wrong, and 2, it doesn't change my opinion on the Hazes. Anyways, it's not surprising to see that you were in the lead within just the first 3 events, by going gold, then silver, then bronze. If you want me to start taking you seriously, then maybe don't start dead last at the Aquamarine. Sure, you clawed your way into the mid-pack of that race, but that didn't stop you from losing the lead. Then in Greenstone, Cloudy struggled in the backfield for the entire race. You almost finished dead last if the club wasn't having just as hard of a time. I would also like to point out that both the nameless grey faces and the furry felines are lighter than the rest of the team, so it is nearly impossible to beat them. When are we getting a season without these two teams? Who are the Indigo Stars? What do they have to offer? Well, they don't really offer much. I mean, all things considered, a 9th place after 5 races isn't terrible for this team's first ever season, but up to this point, Diego's done the Stars absolutely no favors, starting their first 2 outings in the bottom 4. Indy, however, is doing quite good, starting their season off with a 7th at Sakura Garden, and at Sparkle Central, Indy ended up leading the first lap but lost it and blew the podium in the final lap to finish 5th, which is still pretty good. Meanwhile, Diego, they got their first ever top 10 finish at Greenstone, and peaking into 6th just 3 laps after being in last? I don't believe it. The Indigo Stars have more than one decent racer. It seemed like all hope was lost, but now you're in the top half and you're the highest of all teams in the standings without any medals and without any fastest laps. That's impressive. In any case, Indigo Stars, good luck in the second half of the season and finish top half overall. Or just fall down to 14th by the end of the season. Look what's possible without Royal as your second racer. This new reserve Meepo guy looks promising. They did have a little rocky start at Sakura Garden by finishing 11th, but knowing Cerulean, we all knew they could turn things around, and they barely did that by getting 7th at the Savage Speedway. Then Meepo raced at Sparkle Central and did much better than the previous run. They were up in the top 3 on several occasions but couldn't stick it together and they finished in 7th. At Aquamarine, Cerulean were in really good shape at the start, but started to fall down the order and finished that race in 8th. And at Greenstone, Meepo had a pretty rough start, but clawed their way to have their first top 5 finish of the season. So pretty much the entire season so far for the Cobalts have been consistently mid-pack finishes. I'm hoping that Cerulean will be able to at least get a podium in the second half of the season, as the Cobalts haven't failed to do that their entire career in Marbula One. Let's just hope they don't give Trollment to a marble again at Misty Mountain. I'm going to start calling this team the Cheeseheads from now on. It's more fitting to their colour, and my opinion on them. Anyways, everyone including myself thought that the Cheeseheads would get yet again 1 bronze at most, and then nothing after that. And Yellow. Yellow, the reserve, captures the Cheeseheads' 4th pole position at Savage Speedway, and from what we have seen, even though getting pole position does allot you 3 extra points before the race, you don't necessarily want to be starting on pole position because of all the chaos that happens right out of the gate. And they did lead for the first lap, but after that they couldn't keep their bearings straight and finished in 4th. This is still a really good result. And Yellow. Then Yellow quickly climbs up the order at Aquamarine after falling to 13th at the end of lap 5. And it really paid off as they captured the team's 4th bronze medal and coming quite close to a silver. The Cheeseheads look dangerous. And Yellow. At Greenstone, Yellow is in a fight for the lead with Yellow Eye, and although they do get the lead, it doesn't last for very long, but it is still enough for Yellow to capture the team's first ever silver. And they have not only jumped into the top 5 of the team standings, Yellow is now in the lead in the individual standings. This team really has potential in the second half. And Yellow. I could go on a long rant about how depraved this season's been for Midnight Wisp, but I think I'll just sum it up in one sentence. That Sparkle Central 4th place from Amaya is more than half of your points. The Midnight Wisps are a one-event wonder. They've been stuck in the bottom half of the standings this entire season, and Eve has made it to Q2 every single time, and they've either finished in the mid-pack or in the bottom half. Eve hasn't gotten a single finish higher than 9th. You led most of the first lap at Greenstone. How did you finish 9th? I couldn't even keep track of who was racing each week because it didn't matter. The Midnight Wisps are a team of eternal mid. In fact, that actually goes by the beginning of their name that I really think about it. I guess better luck in the second half. I would wish you the best of luck, but I know you won't do it, so why even bother saying it? Coming off of a fantastic Marble League 2025 Western season, it is time to see how the Oceanics really make a name for themselves. Okay, what is this? 2 scoreless races, a dead last at your home track, and no finishes above 10th. I didn't sign up to watch Season 2 again. What is even worse is that you are currently outscored by 2 teams who have never been in Marbula One before. Do you realize how bad that is? Not to mention, a lot of teams just above you or just below you have at least 1 or 2 appearances in the top 5. The closest you got was 6th at Sakura Garden, and that was only for like 5 seconds. This franchise are just back to their 2023 selves at this point. They might end up proving me completely wrong and turn things around in the second half, but 2 straight scoreless finishes in the last 2 races is really making me consider that the Oceanics have completely crashed back down to earth faster than the Savage Speeders. I don't believe in them one bit. And here come our 2025 Marble Western League hosts. What I've seen so far from the Orangers hasn't just been unwatchable, it's hard to even notice how they've been performing. Origin had a great start with a 6th place at Sakura Garden, and your fans were so excited to see how the next few races would play out. Let's just say they didn't play out at all. 2 points in your last 4 races. You're supposed to go down the course, not down the standings. This could not only be a bad performance that the Orangers fans have never seen before, this could be the first time that the Orangers finish bottom half in Marbula One. But don't worry, because I have a trophy for you. The Best Bonk Award! Some intense racing in the first half made for some incredible bonks. We've got Smarky, who completely missed the train, Siren, who ate the wall for breakfast, and Mimo, who just wanted to take a quick nap. Well anyways, the winner is Origin at Greenstone, who accidentally disconnected their controller and did their best Waspy impression. Congratulations Origin, it's a shame your team won't finish top 5 when the season ends. This has to be an even more better look than I've ever seen before in my life from the Pinkies. 5 races in, no finishes below 7th, and 65 points. Especially with a fantastic 2nd place at Sparkle Central. You actually had the chance of 2 more podiums, but instead you threw away 5 points at Sakura Garden and let Team Galactic have their way at Savage Speedway. With only 1 finish below 6th, you were in 3rd place overall, just a little behind the Hazers, just 10 points, nothing crazy. The Pinkies have also been superly consistent, having no finishes below 7th and no finishes in the bottom half, which is the best out of any team this season. That is unbelievable. Good luck in the second half, and this time try and do not throw the podium on the final lap. You won't be likely to make the podium overall if that keeps happening. I was expecting the Raspberry Races to be mediocre because if you filter out Season 5, they are always mediocre when it comes to performing in race events such as Marbula One. But what I've seen so far from the Razzies this season, I could not have foresaw at all. Only 1 top half finish, and it was 10th. Technically, you'll be doing worse than the Solar Flares and the Orangers, because they both have a 6th. You are the lowest out of all 6 teams in the standings who have scored in every single race. You are just back to your Season 2 self at this point. At least get a medal in the second half, because if you don't get a medal, you won't be my favourite team for much longer. People would have most likely have expected me to say that they are back to their Season 4 selves, but that is wrong, because what they are scoring right now is not how they scored in Season 4. The Razzies are probably going to just fizzle out in 13th by the time the season ends. But I hope they prove me wrong in the second half and at least get a medal. And here are the average speeders. Whilst you are still a good performing team in Marbula One, at least we know you are not good anymore at performing in the Marble League. So that's good that we can at least get some freedom away from these hotheads. And they don't cancel fun as much anymore, which is good as well. Anyways, this has been a decent season for the speeders. Your best finish was in fact a bronze medal at Greenstone, which before then your best finish was 5th. However, this is not nearly enough for you to keep up with the front 3. But it is an even season, and those seasons do favour the speeders quite well, so they'll probably get a win in the second half and probably win by 5 seconds, because let's be real, I don't think anyone expects them to fail in the second half, as they've known to trick people into thinking that they are finally falling off a cliff, when in fact it was just a small hiccup. Good luck in the second half, speeders. The less I see of you, the better. The Shining Swarm aren't really shining. They might as well be known in Marbula One as the one-event Swarmers. That actually sums up the team very well. Anyways, your performance so far has been yet again mid. Glimmer got a 5th place at the Savage Speedway, but they haven't placed higher than 10th outside of that. Meanwhile, Shimmer isn't really helping either. The Swarm should not have been invited this season, but you were because you won the 2025 Showdown. You also only have 1 appearance in Q2, and that appearance in Q2 from Shimmer was at your home track. Your last ever medal in Marbula One was at Electron Expressway in Season 3, which was 1,252 days ago, which is exactly 3 years and 5 months. I really think it is time to swap your roster, as you've had the exact same competitors for the past 8 years. This might age horribly, but I personally don't think the Shining Swarm will be good for a long time. I know I probably shouldn't have been so aggressive to the snowballs in my ML25 second half recap video, but at the same time they did fall off in the second half. Anyways, I severely underestimated how poorly that video aged, as the snowballs have been dominant this entire first half. Here's another thing that might blow your mind. The snowballs were sitting in 18th after race 2. 2 points in the first 2 races, 62 in the following 3. They ran the table, with Snowstorm getting a win at Sparkle Central, Snowy getting second at the Aquamarine, and Snowstorm again with a 4th place at Greenstone. This could be the chance for the Snowballs to repeat their Season 5 second place success story, as Snowy and Snowstorm were completely dominant that season. I will be in complete shock if they can repeat that Season 5 success and potentially have the chance to get the overall win, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. In any case, good luck in the second half, Snowballs. Where you compete, luck is the only place. When I talked about the Solar Flares and how they deserve to be invited to Marbula One in my ML24 recap video, I didn't think it would actually happen. And all things considered, 16th place overall, and your first half hasn't been terrible, it just hasn't been too impressive. They started off their season with 2 scoreless races in a row before Ember ran the table with a 12th place at Sparkle Central. At Aquamarine, Radiance started in 14th and immediately ballooned to 6th by the end of the first lap. Radiance would then go on to have a total of 6 laps in 3rd place, and on one of those occasions they went in a 3-way battle for the lead. But Radiance couldn't keep up the pace and ended in 6th. Then at Greenstone, Ember stuck in the bottom half of the field the entire race and finished 12th yet again. As of now, you are doing better than 5 teams, one of which was the 25 silver medalists. As of now though, the Solar Flares are just quite forgettable, which is quite hard to see. We might see some flashes here and there from the Flares in the second half, but don't really expect anything too flashy from this franchise. Why are there just so many teams that actually do really good in the Marble League but not Marbula One? Team Galactic is one of those. Not only that, but Starry's bronze from race 2 is more than 2/3 of your points. You were in 3rd place after race 2, and you are now comfortably in 12th at the halfway mark. You're literally like the Jungle Jumpers from Season 2, where they start off great in the top half of a race and then tire out as the race goes along. And they probably are at this point. Anyways, Team Galactic go back to their poor performances from Season 5. And I can imagine someone is really not going to be happy about this. And I honestly just don't see them going back to their decent performances in Season 4. And at this point, I don't know how we're going to be able to get a win. Well, the next race is Orion's Bell, which is, as of now, is happening in less than 5 hours, so maybe Quasar might actually benefit from this new fresh look track, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Team Momo's fall off this first half needs to be studied. From being champions of 2024 to this. How does this franchise become the second team to go the first 3 events without scoring any points? What is worse though, is how do you plummet to 18th at Greenstone after finishing the first lap in 4th place? The best answer I'm able to give is the still new banking curbs. I would be really happy if JMR would bring back the original curb lane guides, as those provided a lot of opportunities for passing. Only scoring 2 points this first half is just quite sad to see. If it makes you feel a tiny bit better, you have scored more points than the Thunderbolt Season 4 first half. I really do hope you can make a recovery in the second half and at least try not screw up on the conveyor belt this time. You're not going to be moving up the standings if you keep doing this, and you only have been in Q2 twice this season. So please step things up and actually compete, because if you don't, then you're more than likely not going to be invited next season. How did someone pay to get this forgettable franchise back into the big show? Does anyone remember when the Wolfpack were in Season 4? Because I certainly don't. In my eyes, the Wolfpack are probably going to mimic their previous season, where they scored 2 Grand Prix in the first half and only 1 in the second half. What I also find quite funny is that both races that you have scored points in, you were in Q2 for. Maybe those 2 appearances in Q2 with a total of 6 laps of practice were the reasons you got points. What I find more confusing is that the races that the Wolfpack got points in, they only lost one position in. At Savage Speedway, Sheep placed 10th in Q2 and finished the race in 11th. At Greenstone, Remus placed 9th in Q2 and finished the race in 10th. Those two mid-pack finishes are sandwiched between 3 17th place finishes in races 1, 3, and 4. They might end up finishing 19th yet again when the season finishes. And if that does end up happening, they better not get invited the following season because I will know what will happen. And that is the first half of Marbula One Season 6. I feel like this has been a pretty good season so far, and that is coming from the teenager who always finds it hard to enjoy seasons like this. But overall, this has been a pretty good one. In 4.5 hours, Race 6 of Marbula One will be released, and I'm so looking forward to it. That's going to be it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and as always, reach for the stars.
As we begin the final lap, oh, and we've got a yellow flag. Sounded like a curb has been dislodged. Most of the field is going to be working their way past it right now, but the battle for the lead is ongoing. Half a lap to go. Snowstorm.